Today's video will be another thrift store challenge. A store or website you guys requested a lot of was Hearth and Hand and Magnolia. So we're gonna go get loads of inspiration and then head over to the thrift store to see what we can come up with for a whole lot less. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to start this video off talking about wreaths as I'm needing one for my front door for spring. So I looked through the Hearth and Hand collection and nothing was really speaking to me. And then when I looked on the website at Magnolia, I loved this olive wreath for just under $100. I knew that that would be a challenge at the thrift store. So what I ended up finding though were these olive sprigs for $4. And then I looked at the additional imagery on the Magnolia site and it looks like they were stuck through a grapevine wreath. So I ended up choosing this one at the thrift store because it was nice in size and only $3.50. There were probably about 8 stems that I found at the thrift store in that bundle for $4. So I just removed each individual section and I just kind of sporadically placed them throughout because I also had Dollar Tree olive stems. If you didn't know, the Dollar Tree is also carrying olive stems. So I just took a combination of those stems from the thrift store and the stems from the Dollar Tree, and this was the end result. I think for just about $10, I have a really similar look on a budget. Next up, let's talk about some decorative tray options through the Hearth and Hand line at Target. I actually already own this one. It is a very staple, versatile piece of decor that can be changed throughout the seasons. But for the spring and summer months, I thought that this white and gold tray would be a nice option. So my goal when going to the thrift store was to find something that I could either paint or combine to get this sort of similar effect to the wood Lazy Susan one that I already own. So I found this separate Lazy Susan piece for just $1 and then this tray for $1.99. This silver platter was scratched up pretty badly, so I thought it would be a nice option to just spray paint it. So the first thing I did was I actually just taped off those handles. I contemplated removing them and adding more modern handles, but I do love a vintage flair in my space. So I thought, let's just keep them. It'll keep the cost low for this project. And also we get that gold detail that I was really trying to replicate from the Hearth and Hand tray. For spray paint, I usually use Magnolia's shiplap spray paint, but I was out. So I opted for this satin heirloom white spray paint by Rust-Oleum, and the coverage was actually really nice and it gave a nice sheen to the project that I probably wouldn't get from the chalk paint from Magnolia. With all of the coats dried and sealed, I just now needed to remove that tape, and somehow some of the spray paint still got on those handles. So one thing I have learned is if ever you get paint in a project that you were really trying to avoid getting paint in that area, one thing that you can use is goof off. You just apply a small amount and then wait a few minutes and it kind of just rubs right off. You could probably also use nail polish remover that is 100% acetone, but this works really well and it kind of just saves your project. With the tray component complete, it's just time now to combine the two together, and I think I have a more vintage inspired but similar look on a budget. A material used a lot of in the Hearth and Hand collection is glass, and that is one of the easiest things you can find at the thrift store. I would say more so than anything else, you can almost always find glassware, but I really loved this smoked glass vase from the Magnolia line, originally priced at $98 but on sale for half that. But at the thrift store, I came across this smoked glass vase for just $2. But there was one little thing I didn't love about this vase, and that was just that metallic ribbon at the top. So before I bought it, I made sure that it wasn't actually glued because I felt like that would have just been a pain to remove. So it was just wrapped around there really tightly. So I just removed that ribbon, and I thought that that gave me a closer look to what I had seen on the Magnolia website. So with the ribbon removed and the glassware is just cleaned out, I wanted to add some fresh florals. So one hack I saw on TikTok is to actually add Sprite to your floral water, and it keeps your arrangements alive for so much longer. And eucalyptus is already a pretty long lasting floral arrangement. So if you are on a budget and not wanting to change out your florals often, eucalyptus is a nice option. The next category I want to talk about are baskets. So when I was on Magnolia's website, I loved these scallop baskets. I love that they were a set of 3, but $50 for 3 baskets seems like a lot of money, especially because they are small in scale. So when I was at the thrift store, I was trying to find little round baskets that almost looked like they could be sisters, one being smaller than the other. I would have loved to have found 3, but I only found 2 at just 50 cents a piece. I liked that these baskets were the right color, and I also liked that they had a slightly scalloped edge, but some of them were a bit damaged, so I just decided to remove the section that was obviously damaged so it wouldn't be as noticeable sitting out on the counter. Another basket that I really loved was this basket here. I loved that it had this like tapered bottom, and the handles, the open weave, I thought was really nice. So I didn't find a basket that had handles like that or one that was really like openly woven like that, but I did find one with a tapered bottom. And I know that they were using this basket almost as like a blanket storage basket. My basket was just a bit smaller, so what I decided to do was actually just use it as a large scale vase. Sticking a glass vase with water in the bottom, adding that Sprite and floral food. I'm just taking these day after Valentine's roses, and I'm just going to add additional eucalyptus to this arrangement. And if my arrangement is still lacking, I'll take some fake florals and add it just to fill it out a little bit more on a budget. One thing I really loved from the Hearth & Hand collection were their lanterns. They had 3 different sizes. The smallest of the 3 sizes was $29.99. I loved that they were combining a really modern shape with this sort of vintagey patina'd inspired brass. And this is actually something I do come across quite often at the thrift store, are brass lanterns. They're usually of a smaller scale. One hack I've seen is to take an old chandelier and turn that into a lantern if you want a larger scale decorative piece. I ended up finding this sort of like hexagonal shaped one. I felt like that felt a bit more modern, and it was just $2. And to finish off this vignette, I found these faux brass bunnies that reminded me so much of the ones from Pottery Barn, and I just added those adjacent to our large scale floral arrangement, and I think this looks very fresh and fun for spring and Easter. Another piece of decor I loved from the Hearth & Hand collection were these large scale, almost tray shaped ceramic candles. And I think this is great because when you're done burning this candle, you have a really nice shaped decorative object that you can place on bookshelves and for styling, and you can make it into a planter. But I ended up finding this tray at the thrift store for $5, and I'm going to take some leftover candles that I have on hand, and I'm just going to melt them down to hopefully get a similar look. Placing some of the pillar candles in a bag and just kind of mashing them up a bit so they melt faster. I also added 4 additional candles that I had on hand from the Dollar Tree, and I'm putting all of these candles on medium to low heat on the stove until everything is completely melted. I started off by pouring the Dollar Tree candles first just to give it a little bit more height, since my bowl was shallow, and the candles that I'm going to be using for actually like lighting this candle are going to be tea light candles that I put in the freezer so they wouldn't just completely melt the second I put them in the hot wax. With most of the wax poured in, I saved a little bit just so I could top off the top of the candle so that way everything would be nice and flush. You will see that the wax starts to kind of harden from the outside in. So once you get to the point where you'll be able to stick your tea light in there and it won't just immediately sink to the bottom, that's the time to add your tea light candles. And then I just topped it off so everything was nice and flush, and this was the end result. Now my candle definitely does not smell as nice, but it also did not cost me anywhere near that $40 price point. If you love that farmhouse kind of notorious Joanna Gaines style, one piece of decor you should probably invest in are pitchers. Now I found this pitcher for $4. The ones at Hearth & Hand were white, and I did contemplate spray painting it, but I really loved the rich tone of this pitcher. I already have so many white pitchers that I decided to leave this one, this rich kind of mahogany color, and I added some fresh eucalyptus and I placed it in our bedroom. It is such a treat to walk into my bedroom and smell the fresh eucalyptus with the candle going. It is such a vibe, and I was able to create this vibe on such a small budget. Next up, let's talk about some Hearth & Hand kitchen essentials. Now, weirdly enough, I do come across these at thrift stores like Goodwill that take overstock, I think, from Target. So you can come across these every now and then. Now, this one I came across, it did not have the lotion or the tray component with it, but it was just the soap container, which is really all I needed, and it was just $1.99. Now, I'm assuming this person donated it because there was quite a bit of scuff marks on it, but one thing, if you own these already, or if you are contemplating buying them, if you take a magic eraser, usually almost all of the scuff marks will get removed in moments. With all of those scuff marks removed, I just added my favorite soap to it and placed it next to my sink. Another piece of decor that I really liked from the Hearth and Hand line, but I thought was a bit overpriced, were these little floral arrangements. So if you were to buy both sizes, it would cost about $20. But I did really like the pleating on the vase. So when I went to the thrift store, I tried to find any sort of glass container that had that same sort of pleating on it. But one thing that I love that Hearth and Hand does is that if you don't want to buy their prearranged florals, you can also buy the exact same florals separately. So what I decided to do was just clean that vase out really well. I added just a little bit of Elmer's glue to the bottom, just like their arrangement had, giving it that sort of faux water look. And then I'm going to add 2 of these stems. So each of these stems was just under $4. So this is a small way you can save just a little bit of money, get the florals from the Hearth and Hand line, but then get your glassware elsewhere. A few more additional pieces I found at the thrift store were these little wooden plates. I just wanted to place that next to this vignette. And then also I wanted to find a cookbook stand like the one from the Hearth and Hand line. Now that one isn't actually that expensive. It's only $19.99 and it's really nice. It has this sort of brass detail. But this one that I found at the thrift store, which is made of all wood, is just $1. So I think for that price difference, it does make it worth it for me to go with the thrifted option. Other than the florals, everything you see in this frame is from the thrift store, and I think I'm able to achieve that Joanna Gaines Hearth and Hand style, but so much more budget friendly because I bought things at the thrift store. One of the more expensive decor pieces sold on the Magnolia website were these really beautiful laundry baskets. So I know I'm not going to be able to create something exactly like that, but I'm going to pull a little bit of inspiration based on this laundry basket that I found at the thrift store for $5. I liked the fact that it already had the liner with it. It had a lid, which was nice. And also I liked that it was made of rattan. So there was a stain on the top. And then also I just wanted to wash everything before placing it in my space. So again, it was just $5. Now, one thing I did find over garage sale season last year was the set of 4 wheels. At the time, I had no idea what I was going to do with it, but I remember I got it for about the $2 to $3 price point for 4 wheels. So my first thing I wanted to do was just make it not so high contrast with that linen insert. So I decided to take that same spray paint that I used in the beginning of this video and just spray the rattan all down. Now, unfortunately, despite washing it twice, I was not able to remove that stain from the top piece. So if you guys have any ideas what I can do with this lid, should I make a new cover for it, or whatever you guys think could be a fun idea for that, please leave me a comment down below. I added super glue gel and E6000 to the wheels for the bottom so they would stay nice and put, because I didn't have any like particle board to add the wheels onto it. Now the liner worked out perfect for the bottom, so that was great. I just wanted a little bit of decor for the top, so I found this wall decor piece for just $1 on a fresh cart at the Hartville thrift shop from the Hearth and Hand line, and I think this makes a really chic and beautiful display for laundry. And that about wraps it up for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. This was one that you guys had requested actually quite a bit, so I'm glad that we were able to get to it. If you wanted to see a Studio McGee or McGee & Co. dupes just like this style of a video to it, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.